We each are going to rank our top 5 NBA players who are under the most pressure entering this postseason. The postseason's coming up in a couple weeks here. So who do we think has the most to prove right now? I'm going to start off with my first pick. Number 5 is Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving, he's been now part of 4 teams. We're talking about he's been with the Cavs, he's been with the Celtics, he's been with the Nets, and now he is with the Dallas Mavericks. Now, he won with LeBron James, albeit phenomenal achievement. You won your NBA championship. You finally brought a title to Cleveland. You went over to the Celtics. You promised, if they are going to sign me back, I would love to be here. You bailed out on the first chance you got. You didn't. You underperformed. You went into the playoffs. You could really do nothing in the playoffs. You didn't play as well as you probably could have in the playoffs, especially coming out of your tenure with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Then you go over to Brooklyn with your man KD, and you went away for the team and for personal issues. Didn't even tell the team. You had your own shtick. You got mentally upstairs. You were sort of checked out. You even said that basketball is not your number one focus in life right now. So you do you, Kyrie. But here you go. You're with the Dallas Mavericks. You're going to a team with Luka Doncic. And here's the funny part. With your trade, the Nets actually have more wins than you do. And I would think the Mavericks are actually a more talented team than the Nets. But like I said when this first came out, I don't think this connection would work. So Kyrie, going to the playoffs, I want to see how you and Luka do. Because you guys are not really good defenders. So show me you can win a playoff series or more. Because this team, they went up and beat the Saints in 6 games. And then lost to the Warriors. So can you get past that? Can you make another Western Conference Finals like they did last year? I want to see it. Show it to me. So Kyrie's my number 5 for most pressure right now. But let's go to my number 4. It's Kevin Durant. Sort of the same thing. You go to OKC. Your best chance was you actually made it to an NBA Finals. You lost. Then you go up against the Warriors. You're up 3-1. Then you lose in that 3-1 series. Then you join that team the following year that beat you in that 3-1 series. You win. You go to 3 straight finals. You win 2 of them. You probably and could have won that third one if you and Clay don't get hurt. Then you go over to Brooklyn with your man Kyrie, and it is probably the most disappointing formation of a team and most underwhelming team probably in the history of the NBA. Then, I mean, first of all, that was your chance.
I would say that if Kevin Durant was given true serum, he would say, I never should have left the Warriors.
I completely agree with you. Yeah. But he wanted to prove himself.
Probably have 3 more championships if he'd stayed with them.
That's pushing it, but I do think he has 3 championships.
He'd probably have 2 more.
Yeah, you had the. I mean, are you giving the Raptors one if he stays healthy? Or are you saying after he gets hurt in the Raptors series, they go back to 2 more after that?
No, I'm saying he would have gotten 1 last year, right? Because they beat the Celtics. He would have been with the team, and they probably would have still beaten the Celtics.
Right.
And then he would have gotten 1 other. He would have gotten 1 other at least.
Right. So, but my point is, you went with Kyrie to sort of be the leader of the Nets. This is your chance to, this, because the Warriors was always Steph's team. You want to go over to the Nets to really be the leader of that team. And like I said, it was the most underwhelming and disappointing team probably in NBA history. Now you're going over. You may consider it ring chasing again because this Suns team had the most wins last year. And now you're joining forces with Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, and Devin Booker, who already made it to an NBA Finals and went 6 games with the Milwaukee Bucks. So now, while you are probably the most talented player, I'm definitely going to say you're the most talented player on the Suns, where's your availability? The last time you really played a lot of games was at the end of January, middle to end of January. You've played 3 games in about 2 months.
Now, he's been good when he's been in there, but he hasn't been in many games.
So I want to see. Take this Suns team to a finals. Take it to a championship.
The way he got hurt was a fluke thing, too. He was just warming up for the game, and he twisted his ankle.
His legs are like, dowel rods. They're skinny. Very, very thin.
Yeah.
So
and he's
Kevin
out
Durant,
for 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks.
He's out for basically the rest of the regular season.
Yeah.
So Kevin Durant, take this team to an NBA Finals. Take him to a championship because you have 4 players who have all been to an NBA Finals. And you are the only one that has won 1. You've won multiple and won NBA Finals and MVP in both of them.
I think it's going to be hard for him to get him to the finals because they won't have any chemistry working together, He's just going to be there for the playoffs. It's going to take them a while to get it together. They better have a weak team in the first round.
They're very top heavy. That's the problem. They're very, very top heavy. Even when you went to that NBA Finals with the core three of CP3, DeAndre Ayton, and Devin Booker, you still had a Jay Crowder and a McCall Bridges who were sort of your bench guys to, not the core three. You're now top heavy with not much bench. I believe you had, I believe his name is Cam Johnson, also on your bench. So you don't really have, you're top heavy. So outside of you four, what else you got? But I'm saying, Kevin Durant, here's your chance to prove us wrong. And my number 3 choice is the Celtics' big three, meaning Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Marcus Smart. The Celtics have been trying to win with this core set of players for years now. I believe it's been half a decade, probably even more, trying to win with this core three players. There were rumors last season and even this season that they were trying to trade Jaylen Brown and try to acquire Kevin Durant. Well, that didn't go through clearly. So now here's your chance. You made it to an NBA Finals last year, and because of your inexperience, the Warriors outcoached you, outsmarted you, and outplayed you on the defensive end and on the offensive end. Now the Warriors look terrible. The problem is you're not playing great defense. So here's what you guys need to do. This core three, if this core three does not win it all this year, which they very well could, if this core three doesn't win, I think it's time to break up this experiment and try to fill in some sort of missing gap, because there clearly is one. If you can't win with Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Marcus Smart, where you've tried for probably near a decade now. About a half a decade, I want to say. Closer to half a decade than a decade, but...
Half a decade.
Were they drafted in 2018, 2017, I think?
Hasn't been a
decade. So about half a decade. You take these three, if you guys don't win it all this year, I think it's time to try to find that missing link to get you guys over the hump, because you got out-coached. Now you have experience in the finals. You swept the Nets. You went to Game 7 with the Bucks. Who was the other opponent? Oh, you went to Game 7 with the Heat. You were through the trenches through two series last year, where you went to 2 Game 7s. You start off great against the Warriors and couldn't stop Steph Curry. I want to see Jayson Tatum needs to be more consistent. Jaylen Brown's a perfectly fine player, and Marcus Smart needs to be. He's a great defender. Needs to be a little hot with the shooting. He can go a little cold, but Celtics big three is my number 3. You have to go win a championship to make this work. Otherwise, you got to break it up. My number 2 is Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis, this is your time. With LeBron out, it looks like the report is that if you don't perform and lead this team to the playoffs, or at least the play-in tournament, that the Lakers will probably move off of you. You're not available. You have, if we're not including KD's full missed season due to the Achilles, you have the most missed games in recent memory, in the past 3 years, I believe. So, this was basically LeBron was going to hand you the torch to the Lakers, and you were supposed to lead this team after LeBron either leaves the team or retires. And it looks like you haven't been available to do this. AD, you could say a lot of things for AD. Always disappointing. Atomic disaster. Mine's always down. You're never available. You're always hurt. So here's your chance. If you don't want to, be traded away from the Lakers going into next season, prove that you can lead this team to the playoffs and see what they do, because LeBron will come back. LeBron will come back. He was just shown without a walking boot this past game. I believe who they play. Was it the Knicks? I believe they played, and you lost to the Knicks. You got to be like a 25-10 guy, 25-12. I think you put up, 16 points and 15 rebounds, something like that. You got to perform, or else you're not going to be on the Lakers anymore. And my number 1 pick, the soon-to-be 3-time MVP, the first guy since Larry Bird to do it, 3 straight MVPs. Here's your time to shine. Jokic, you're a 3-time MVP guy, or you will at least be, even though I don't think you deserve it this year. Embiid has been a better player. You versed Embiid and got absolutely decimated by Embiid. It looks like now the Nuggets are sort of dropping off a little bit. They've lost, I believe, the past 3 games. You start off, I think it was 27-0. The Nuggets were when you had a triple-double. And now it doesn't look like that way anymore. The Nuggets are taking a step back, and it looks like the 76ers are being as consistent as they can be. You have 1 more win. You are a half win above the 76ers, and yet Embiid is not getting the credit he deserves for MVP. There's only been 3 other players that have been putting up points as much as Embiid is this year. I believe it's Kobe, it's Michael Jordan, and I'm forgetting the third player, but it's James Harden. And then it's Embiid. Those are 3 players that are putting up I think he has 33.4 points a game this season. It's ridiculous. Embiid in the past 3 games, I believe, is averaging about 25 or under 25 points a game.
It'd be nice if he had more talent around him.
Jay, Jamal Murray's a perfectly fine. I mean, he doesn't shoot that well, but he's like what, a 16-5 guy, 16-6 guy. Aaron Gordon's playing pretty well for who he is. I think he's averaging 16-4. Then you got what's his name? Michael Porter Jr. I think he's a 15-5 guy, 15-6 guy. So it's not like you have bums around you.
They brought in what's his name? The guard. You just mentioned his name.
Jamal Murray?
No, the other guy. He's an all-pro guy.
I just said it?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I said Jamal Murray. I said Michael Porter Jr.
Who's the other guard that plays for the shooting? He's a shooting guard. He was with the Nets, and then they traded him then he went to the 76ers. He was with the Houston.
James Harden?
James Harden.
He was never on the Nuggets.
Not the Nuggets. I said the Nets.
He
was with the Nets.
Yeah.
Yeah. He needs to step up more.
Well, you're gonna get to your picks though. These are my picks.
I know.
I'm saying.
I know, but
Jokic,
in terms of
do something.
Of Embiid, getting to the finals, I think the supporting cast needs to play better.
Well,
you can't do it with one guy.
LeBron did it with one guy, but LeBron, I mean, I guess it's not fair comparison. He's probably the greatest of all time here. Yeah. But he still did it. He carried that bum team to the final. He did get swept in the finals, but he did lead that team to the finals. So it's not that it can't be done. I mean, Jokic, he's putting up Wilt Chamberlain numbers now. And Wilt's unbelievable. So Jokic, do something in the playoffs. Win a series. Win a couple series. Do something. And what's funny is, I think not a lot of people would disagree that any team in the playoffs could probably beat them in the first round. No matter who they go up to, the Lakers, Dallas, Minnesota, the Warriors, Clippers, Phoenix, Memphis, Sacramento.
Who are the big players do they have around him? Jokic. Around Jokic, who's their best player, other player besides him?
Probably Jamal Murray or Michael Porter Jr. Either one of those. And I believe it's Jamal Murray who people love because in the bubble, he averaged 40 in the playoffs, something like that. So, I mean, it's not like he has bums, and these guys are averaging about, 15, 16 points a game and about 4 to 6 rebounds a game.
Yeah.
So they're not bums. I mean, they're not the level of having a 1-2 punch like a Jayson Tatum or a Jaylen Brown, but, I mean, these guys aren't bad. So, for instance, LeBron was playing with bums when he made it to the finals, but basically by himself. He had no Kyrie. He was playing with a not great James Harden at the time. That team was a mess. Absolute mess. Jokic is playing with some pretty decent players. So, and he's going to be a 3-time MVP. The first guy since Larry Bird to do it. So, I'm saying Jokic, step it up here. You have a chance. And I think he's the only guy, I guess the Nuggets are the only team that any team in the West that's going to make the playoffs could beat this team if they were the 8th seed going into the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Only team in the first round to beat them. I don't think I get a lot of pushback for that. I think anyone would agree. Right now, Dallas is the 8th seed. I think people would say Dallas could beat them in a 7-game series. Minnesota, the Warriors, the Clippers, Phoenix, Memphis, or Sacramento. That went from 8 to 2 up there.
They may not get out of the playoff round.
You mean what do you mean the playoff round? The first round?
Their number what?
The
number 1 right now.
The Nuggets are number 1. So
who's number 8?
Right now it's Dallas.
You think Dallas could beat Denver?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Jokic doesn't play defense. It would be no defense versus no defense.
I guess Dallas needs to get into the playoffs, though, right?
Right.
I mean, they have to win in that little mini playoff series.
Because right now, the potential 8th seed, 7 and 8 seed, goes to either OKC, Utah, Dallas, or Minnesota. That's from 10 to 7.
Yeah.
So any one of those teams could fill in the last 2 spots. So who knows what's going to happen, but these are my 5 players that are under pressure.
Those are good choices.
With something to prove. Each of them, actually most of them at least, need to... Anthony Davis needs to at least lead his team to the playoffs because he's going to get traded next season. Jokic needs to win at least one playoff series if he's going to be the 3-time MVP. Kyrie needs to do something with Luka. Durant needs to lead his team to the finals, and the big 3 need to win one.
Yeah.
So those are my top 5 players who need to prove something.
Those are good choices.
You go with your top 5 now. Number 5.
Number 5 is Draymond Green. And I put him in here because of what he did in the preseason when he punched out Jordan Poole. And I think that upset the team chemistry. It was a weird thing. The other players couldn't believe it happened. and I think it carried over into the regular season, and I think it has something to do with their terrible road record. So come on, Draymond, step it up, be a team player, be supportive of your teammates, get in there and make a difference. Number 4.
Number 4.
Kyrie Irving, for all the same reasons that you said. I think he's a prima donna, and he needs to show some guts. He hasn't had any guts since he played for the Cavaliers. And that's when, in those games, he really played well. And that gave him a reputation as being a superstar. And he's been just very sporadic in terms of his play since then. And his off the court antics are a distraction. So he needs to focus, no off court distractions, get in there, team up with Doncic, and make a difference. Number 3.
Number 3.
Number 3 is Joel Embiid. And for a lot of, I have a lot of respect for him. He's having a great season. I don't think he has James Harden hasn't really stepped up the way he needs to be you really need 2 great players, 2 or 3 great players to go deep into the playoffs. I feel bad for Embiid because I feel like he doesn't have that second piece that you can really count on when the chips are down.
You'd argue
but
Harden.
He is. I do think he should be a MVP candidate, and he needs to really show it in the playoffs. And he has in the past, and they've still lost. So I think the other players have to step up around him. He has to find a way to help make those other players better.
I'm going to put this out here right now. So Basketball Reference here has Embiid at a 12.1% chance to win MVP.
It's crazy.
Jokic has a 63.4% chance.
Yeah. Who others have?
Giannis is number 3 at 6.9. James Harden is at 4.9, and Luka Doncic is 3.6.
James Harden is in there?
He's averaging, I think, 20 and 10, I think, this year.
Yeah.
Let's see. He's averaging 21 points, 10 assists, 6 boards. He's on basically 40% three-point shooting. So he's been pretty good, actually, especially recently.
Yeah,
but
he needs to step it up more.
My lasting memory of Embiid in the playoffs is when Kawhi Leonard hit that buzzer beater against them in Game 7 to lead them to beat the Warriors in the finals. Yeah, so that's my lasting memory. Oh, and besides the Ben Simmons deciding not to shoot that layup and then that whole thing that happened at the end of it. But let's go with your number 2.
My number 2 is Chris Paul. And assuming that Kevin Durant can get healthy enough to play in some games, which will probably be in the playoffs, so there won't be any time for any chemistry or anything. It's up to Chris Paul to be the court general out there and direct the ball to the right place and bring the Suns to a chance of advancing and perhaps getting to the finals. And they have the talent, but they're going to suffer from the chemistry part of it because, they aren't going to have the time to play with Durant, which would have been, they would have had enough time hadn't he got hurt now. He's hurt for a couple of weeks. So Chris Paul has got to the finals there. Was it last year, the year before? It was
2020.
Yeah, and too bad.
Was it 2021?
Yeah, and too bad. They had the chance to win it all, and they didn't. So he's the guy. He's the field general out there.
Point guard.
And he needs to make it happen for the Suns.
Yeah. And your final pick, the guy with the most pressure and something to prove is
Jayson Tatum. And you put all 3 of those players up there.
I did the big 3.
You can argue that too. But this is their year. They got to do it. If they don't win it all this year, I agree with you. They're going to have to take a look at what they're doing and decide whether they need to make a change or two. But he's the guy for them, and he had over 100 turnovers in the playoffs last year, set a record. He came up small in the finals and didn't play up to his capacity, up to his expectations. This is the year he's got to do it. You got to play up to your expectations in every series and get the Celtics to the final and get them over the hump to win one.
I will say this about my pick with Jokic. Jokic lost, or I guess the Nuggets lost to the Spurs. The Spurs are 17-50, and you have to look at some of those. The viewers need to look up some of those highlights. I'm sure people have seen it. The Spurs were blowing by Jokic like he wasn't even there.
Yeah, well, sometimes they have an off night.
Don't play defense. He doesn't play defense.
Sometimes they have an off night.
Well, if you're going to be 3-time MVP, you can't have many off nights. And now the Nuggets are slowly slipping. They've gone on a couple losing streaks there.
We'll see.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.